Welcome to Account Smarter, where we make bookkeeping and accounting workflows faster and easier for your business. Today, we're going to talk about how to write an effective prompt to use AI to create Excel formulas. So in this example, I have an Excel file that has two reports that I pulled from Stripe. Unfortunately, one report doesn't have all of the information that I need, so I want to look up the invoice number on this invoices report to the second tab, which is a payments report, and look up that same invoice number that's here on column K and find out what date it was paid and how much was paid on this payments tab. So I want to use the AI agent to essentially match a reference number on one tab to another tab and have it return a value. You'd be surprised how often this happens on different payment or processing or accounting platforms where one report doesn't have everything that you need, and so you need to pull multiple reports and combine the data to get everything in one place. One thing I want to caveat is that I did replace all customer names and email addresses on this report with generic information, which is something that I always highly recommend when you're using AI, just so you don't give it any sensitive information unless you're truly using a secure AI model. In my example, I'm going to use Claude, but feel free to use the AI agent of your choice, whether it's Claude, ChatGPT, Copilot, etc. So before you start typing anything into your AI agent chat, you need to gather a few pieces of information. So you want to think about this like you're actually giving somebody else directions, and the more specific you are, the easier it's going to be for the AI agent to generate what you need. So in this example, you need to think about, number one, where does the formula go? So what tab are you wanting the formula to be written in, and in what column? So in my example, I want it on the invoices tab, and have the formula starting in column U. You need to think about what data are you working with? So what column holds the value that you're looking up, and where does the matching value live? So in my example, I'm wanting to look up this green highlight. So this is the invoice number that's on the invoices tab as well as on the payment tab. So it's looking it up from this place to this place. And then number three, what do you want returned? So in my example, I basically want this invoice to then say it was paid on the date that's in column B, and it was paid for the amount in column C. So I need to tell my AI all of that information, because it may or may not be able to figure out exactly where that is if I give it vague instructions. So for my formula, I have the prompt already copied in just for time's sake of this exercise. I'm basically uploading that same report that I just showed you, and here's my prompt here. And let me pull up the Excel to talk through the prompt, and then we'll go back to the screen so we can run it. But I told Claude, create a formula in column U on the invoices tab. So we're on the invoices tab. I want it to write this formula in column U that looks up the number in column J. So it looks up this value in column J and finds a match on column K of the payments tab. So here's where it's going to find the match in column K. So it's going to look up this number and go look up where it is in here, and returns the date in column B on the payments tab. So I want it to return the date it was paid. However, I don't love how this is formatted. This says date and time, which is just too much. I don't need all of that information. So I'm going to say format the date to be month, month, day, day, year, year. If no match, say no payment found. So if there's an invoice on here that has not been paid and it cannot find a match on this payments tab, I want it just to say no payment found, because to me, that means that this invoice has not been paid, so it's still outstanding. And then I also want to create the same formula in column B on the invoices tab, but return the amount in column C on the payments tab. So I want it to now return this amount. So rather than the date, return the amount. And if no payment found, I want it to return 0. Then I want to write one more formula in column W for me. I want it to basically create a formula that is column R, so it's the total amount, minus column B, which is the amount paid, that's going to show basically the amount unpaid and the amount that's still outstanding. So I copied all of that into Claude. So here's the actual prompts that I put in. And you can pause the video and screenshot this if that's helpful. And I'm going to have Claude go ahead and perform the exercise for me. So this is going to take a few minutes for Claude to think and figure out what I'm asking, look at the Excel file. So I will probably speed up or cut out this time where it's thinking and working through the problem. Okay, so Claude finished up. It was thinking for probably around 3-ish minutes. So the good news is with Claude, you can actually have it notify you when it's done. So if you ever want to give Claude something to do, go do something else, it'll send you a notification when it's actually finished. But it walks you through exactly what it did. So for my ask, it did an if error text index formula. We can actually download it. And it's always a good idea to spot check it and just make sure it actually did what you asked. Because if you're not, again, if you're not super specific in your instructions, sometimes it gets confused and doesn't do exactly what you asked. So we're going to go to the invoices tab on here. You can see it added these 3 columns. It looks like it found payment dates for some of them. All these ones were in payment not found. I'm assuming those have not been paid yet. It returned amounts for the payment and then for the balance due. Looks like it did that correctly. So now for my analysis, I'm actually going to pivot table some of this information, which I could have Claude help me with as well. That's kind of beyond the scope of this video, but I'm essentially trying to figure out which invoices haven't been paid as of a certain date, which Stripe couldn't generate that exact report for me. So that's where it's helpful to use AI to help build you what you need in Excel. So hopefully this was helpful. Drop any comments or questions in the chat.